So for step 15, attaching the gearbox. Well, this is where we're going to attach our gearbox and motor to the chassis using these two pieces here. But we first have to put little springs inside them and grease up the area where the swing shaft is going to sit. So there are the screws that we're going to need to attach it all to the chassis. There's our axle springs and there's the shaft. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So right off the bat, let's grab this one right here. And you can see in terms of the shaping, it's the correct way around. And we know that we're going to need to grease inside of here. So I'm going to squeeze. And I'm going to use this little bamboo stick that I have. And I'm just going to rub it around the area. There we go. And you can see that if we grab one of the springs, and the way this needs to be, you need to make sure you put it on the right way. This side is facing towards the bottom here, and then this sticks out. So you can see that that's going to go over that hole, or that protruding piece right there. So you can see how that's going to sit. So we'll do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to use this to rub it around. Okay, and now we grab the other spring, only this time the spring is sitting this way. So we've got to put that on there. Whoops. Just like that. So those two bits are looking like that. So from there, what do we need to do? Well, we need to grab our chassis and we're going to turn this around. You can see that in terms of the gearbox, we're going to need to flip this over because we're working on this side with the ridge. This is going to slide through here, but they definitely want you to grease this up. Makes total sense. Because this is going to be moving inside that gearbox. Whoops. Okay. So we're going to slide that through the gearbox. Right through to the other side. Now I can see that a lot of that grease is there. So I'm going to move a little bit onto the other end. But I'm also going to collect a little bit of this and stick it on the other side where it's going to be going into those other pieces. Okay. Okay, I'll put that aside for now. There's a little bit of extra, so I might try to save it for something later. And you can see that that's going to be sitting here, and these pieces are going to be sitting on either side. So you can see this one in particular That needs to sit there and is going to be screwed down by 2 screws. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, where that's going to sit and be screwed down by the 2 screws. But we need to get this into here first. And what you're going to want to make sure of is that you want this at the very top. In other words, it needs to sit above the spring, not down here, but above that spring. So let's see if we can do that from here. We know that's got to sit above the spring. And on this side, we know it's got to sit above the spring. Okay. Now it's not quite right on this side. So I'm going to pull this off again, because I need to make sure it sits above the spring. Now, is it? Yes, it is on both sides. So as you can see at the other end, the axle is above the spring, and the same thing on this side. Okay. So that means that actually we can start screwing this in, and you'll notice we just have the 4 screws. So let's do this. We need to put one in the side here. And again, I'm not going to go all the way. I want to make sure that both go in okay before I tighten anything down. Feels fine to me. So I'll do the whole thing now. Okay, so there's one side done. And again, because they are tapping screws, they go in, and as soon as there's any resistance, you know you're at the end. Make sure the other one goes in. Switch hands here. Okay, that one's at the end. And that one's at the end. So there we have our axle attached, and those springs mean that once the shocks are on, it helps to keep the axle sitting down at the bottom as opposed to sitting at the top. So it just helps give it a little bit of extra dampening. Very cool. So that means that the gearbox is attached. So step 15 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 16 and assemble the rear dampers.